Joining me now is Republican Senator John Barrasso. He's the third-ranking Republican in the Senate and member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Senator, welcome. Thanks very much for being with us. I want to ask you about Lisa Murkowski, your colleague, her saying that she is against the president's declaration of the emergency declaration, and I guess is going to vote against that declaration when the House measure gets to the Senate.
And I think some members will. It may actually pass the Senate and then get vetoed by the president. The Republicans are united in wanting to secure the border. We've passed a law with some down payment for border security. I want to do more, and the president has been very forthright in his commitment to secure the borders. This emergency declaration has been used in the past a number of times, but is certainly being challenged now in the House today.
And when you say that a number of the Republicans, I mean, it could even pass the Senate and face a veto, obviously it would not survive the veto from the president, but that many Republicans might declare their support for this.
Well, the Senate is now 53 Republicans, 47 Democrats, and I think that Senator Murkowski, maybe Senator Collins, I think Senator Tillis had a letter to the or op-ed in the Washington Post to say why he was voting that way. So it's certainly possible when we get this and vote over the next 2 weeks on it. The Republicans are committed to securing the border, and we're proposing things that Democrats in the past have supported and voted for. I think the last 4 presidents have sent troops to the border, whether it's President Obama and Clinton and both President Bushes. So this is not unusual for us to want to make sure we secure the border. The president ran and won election based on this, and he's going to accomplish it.
Well, I think if what they say is that they also want to secure the border, but that they believe that the border can be secured without using this emergency procedure to move money around. Roy Blunt, your colleague, has already said on Face the Nation on Sunday that he's still wavering on this. You're about to go into the policy lunch. You yourself, back in June of 2016, said, I believe, that you believe that President Obama was wrong in using this emergency declaration. It wasn't to move money around, so it's not exactly analogous. Why is it okay to object to President Obama and not to object to what President Trump is doing?
Well, I've just the last couple of weeks said I would prefer the president not take this route. I would prefer that we got the money appropriated and then move money around in other ways, not to have to go to the emergency. But I agree with the president in his goal to secure the border. We're going to see how this comes over from the House. I know we'll have additional discussions with the administration. We'll have discussions at our policy lunch today, but I think that this will pass the Senate because the margin is so slim, but I don't think it is able to overcome a veto by the president, and that's why I believe we're going to move ahead and actually secure the border as the president. And it's not just the president, Andrea. I mean, what was been recommended here is from the experts who took a look at this and said, look, you need barriers at 10 specific locations. It would cost this much money, and that's what the president put in his request to Congress, and Republicans supported. But Democrats, who in the past have voted to allow for barriers to additionally be built, now, because of their dislike of President Trump, have said no, they're not going to vote for it this time, even though they have in the past.
Of course, critics would say the president should have asked for it last year when he controlled both houses. Let me ask you about the summit, though, because now Sergei Lavrov has shown up in Hanoi. No foreseeable reason other than he's putting out indicators in Moscow that the administration is asking for his advice as to how to deal with Kim. Do you have any concerns about the president going into this summit with this wily North Korean?
Well, I'll tell you, I think the world continues to be a very dangerous place. I think that the world in terms of the Korean Peninsula is safer today than it was the day that Barack Obama left the White House, and I think that's because of the actions of President Trump. We haven't had any missile testing or nuclear weapons testing by North Korea in over a year. We've had a return of some of our lost soldiers from the Korean War. I think that the heat at the demilitarized zone has been turned down. But this is going to be a long and winding road. I think you have to be very clear-eyed because it's not just Kim, but his father and the father before them. All of them brutal, ruthless, unforgiving, corrupt dictators. That's who you're dealing with. But I think it's critical that we make sure that we can get rid of their nuclear weapons. We're clearly not there now. We're heading in a direction, but it's going to take a long time, I believe, to accomplish it.
Well, and as you've laid out, brutal dictators, the president seems to be praising Kim and talking about how wonderful their letters are. A little bit of skepticism is certainly in order, is it not? Well,
I tell you, I think you have to be clear-eyed, as I just said, dealing with him and anyone from that whole family and the regime over the years. Like, I want something that's accountable, verifiable, enforceable. We are not there yet.
Senator Barrasso, a pleasure to have you. I know you've got to run to your lunch meeting with the Senate Republicans. Thank you very much for taking the time. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Andrea.
You bet.